All right, what's up, guys? It's Zach McCarley, and today we are officially beginning the contest prep, or I should say, world record prep for the under 105 kilo bodyweight class world record of the axle clean and press. That is the flyer that you saw in the beginning of the video. It'll also be posted at the end of the video. I will be making this world record attempt on April 22nd of this year, and that will be televised on ESPN at 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the West Coast, that'll be 4 to 7 p.m. So sometime in there will be several people attempting world records. I'm pretty sure I will be the only one attempting the axle clean and press world record for this weight class, but we will see. Probably a lot of information to still come out. So this is the first day, as I said, of the official prep for this. The prior training cycle was to evaluate if my body was ready to push in any kind of heavy or serious way, and I evaluated it to have successfully passed that test. So here we are. I start this training cycle out by backing off on the weight considerably. We only touched 275 in the overhead today, primarily focusing on a little bit of strict pressing and then a whole lot of push pressing, and that'll be the focus for a little while as I work on getting used to the axle with the overhead press, as I have been specializing on a barbell for quite a while at this point, and my technique will need to adjust for not having the whip present in a barbell. So I will probably be ripping apart my technique and showing you where I am failing at this point, and we also have one set from each of my accessories included on this video. Anyway, I'm just going to start talking about how the lifting's going, or else it's all going to pass us by. So these push presses look pretty strong. I did get out front a couple times and got pretty weak. You can see the barbell slow down on a couple of the repetitions, and you can also see me have to settle back on my foot. It's because I'm a little bit too far forward, trying to stay over the center of my foot on these dips and trying to keep my hips back just a little bit, as I have a tendency to bring my hips too far forward, which will actually cause me to lose power in the drive portion of the jerk. And so we have some kind of real quick touch and go push presses. They felt stronger. I remember that set in particular, but I remember thinking to myself, that's not what I'm really here to do. I'm here to work on, generating power from that shoulder, so I can't really touch and go, as it were. That's a skill in its own, to touch and go. You really need to have the bar on your shoulders and then begin the movement, because this whole beginning phase is all about, maximizing my efficiency and technique with a bar in front of me, specifically an axle, and really utilizing a lot of leg drive in the press. And right there I'm doing some more touch and goes, so I really should not be doing that at this point in the training cycle. My jerks are all right. They definitely have a lot to be desired from them. And if you look, in video review, you can look where the bar is resting on my shoulders in the front rack position, and then look where I catch it overhead in the split jerk. You can see how far I actually have to move the bar. And that's a really helpful tool when you're reviewing your presses and your jerks, seeing how far you actually have to move the bar. You can see me coming back and working on a little bit of the technical aspect. I need to be doing these drills quite a bit because my technique right now is kind of not perfect, and it really needs to get a lot better. So moving on to some accessory movements. This is an exercise I call breathing incline press. I bring the barbell down and breathe all the way out, and then I breathe back in and press. And this is I feel like I may have addressed this exercise before, but I may not have. This is an exercise that I picked up originally from Dimitar Savatinov. He is a total pressing monster. And if you don't know who he is, then you should really look him up. He is a guy that has pressed over a 315-pound dumbbell over his head. Yes, that is like 3 plates on a barbell with one arm over his head. He's also pressed 500 pounds over his head with both hands many, many times. So, incredible presser. He knows what he's talking about. Anytime he talks about pressing, I just shut up and listen. So, did some incline breathing bench press, and then went on to the dumbbell rear raises, did some T's, and then some Y-shaped raises, and then move on to lateral raise. And I superset these with cable, or I should say band crossovers. I do like banded chest work. I think that it allows for not a tremendous load when the chest is exposed, and when it's, I guess, at the bottom of the motion. It allows you to really focus on contracting very hard towards the end of the range of motion. It's not the best for developing strength, but it is good for really just looking to stimulate some muscle growth or stimulating the muscle in general. And for me, I'm not really looking to build my chest so much as just stimulate the muscles and not allow them to atrophy, which would, generate a weak spot, and it could also lead to injury. So I'm really just trying to keep that muscle healthy right there. And so I like to do a lot of sets of 20, in particular with cable crossover type stuff, and typically in a ballistic fashion. And I'm going to show you guys something right here. I'm just showing you the proper way to use banded almost anything, but especially these crossover symmetry bands. They have an end range of motion, and you find that end range of motion, you lock out, and then you back up 1 or 2 inches, and now you can freely move, but that keeps the tension the same when you come back a week later. So that is the proper way to use these. You want to be 2 to 3 inches away from the end range of motion, and then that will keep the weight consistent for you through your training, and you can actually use those properly and track your progress. And this is the last superset that I'm going to show on here. These are some kickbacks. I like to do kickbacks with a straight hand, and then I like to do a little twisting kickback. You'll see with this side as well as the other side, I'm doing sets of 12, so my wrist is straight, my knuckles are flat, and then after the 6th repetition, you'll see I'm starting to twist the wrist. And this is one of those change-ups that I like to do, in many of the exercises that I use. So next thing I'm supersetting is the rotator cuff exercise. So you can see how I have this band set up behind the rack, and it's hooked up to the bar, and that's to keep the bar from rolling forward. So you can see that it's not going to roll forward on me. Now it's a lot more stable, and I can utilize this bar to do my rotator cuff exercise. What I'm indicating right here is I like to keep my shoulders and spine in line with my elbow, and I'm trying to really utilize the rotator cuff muscle. The way that I really feel this is I like to keep my shoulder blade pretty retracted while I'm doing this exercise and expose the rotator cuff to most of the load. Right here, I believe I'm using 15 pounds. I might only be using 10. This is not a heavyweight exercise. At least it doesn't have to be. I've been known to go relatively heavy on this exercise, but you really don't have to, and the majority of the benefit can be reaped without going heavy. So, and what do we have next? Yes, I wanted to show this stretch. So I like to set the dumbbell between my index and middle finger, and this is a stretch that I like to utilize for my rotator cuff as well. This can help with positioning in the rack. I find that for me, a lot of the tension that prevents proper rack position is actually indicated, or it's actually coming from my triceps. And I like to alleviate that with a lot of lacrosse ball rolling and stretching. I can't really do, Graston on that myself, but sometimes I will utilize a Theragun or the Hypervolt that I have. And stretching in general, I feel that I've beat this to death, so I'm going to keep it very short, but I am a huge proponent of stretching. I think that you should be quite mobile, and I think the more mobile you are within reason, the lower likelihood you have for general injury. So, anyway, that's about all I have for you. And thank you guys for watching. And one more announcement about the world record. That world record will be taking place on ESPN on April 22nd at 4 to 6 p.m. West Coast time. That's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be a live thing. There's going to be several people attempting world records, and I am just one of those individuals. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, if you've watched this far, and I will catch you guys in the next one.